Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, it's Leslie and Cassie here with Power Women of the Trades podcast, and we're so excited for our guest today because she's one of my best friends, so it's always fun to talk to her. We have Stephanie Postell with Anchor Heating and Air out of Charleston, South Carolina. Hey Stephanie.
Hey ladies, I'm so excited to be here. My cheeks.
And you look so pretty right now.
My cheeks are going to be hurting by the end because I'm so happy to see y'all. So
it's such a cheesy moment for sure. Because I was saying we love these conversations always, but when it's one of our friends, they're even more special. And so we're so excited to have you on the show and to be able to really do what we were set out to do, is just showcase really amazing women who are doing great business. And we know that that is what you're doing. And so can you tell us and the people who don't know you a little bit about yourself?
Definitely. But I want to mark this occasion of our 1-year anniversary. We were all together a year ago, right?
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah,
you were at Pantheon
a year ago. I think that's
been a year.
I think that really kickstarted our relationship and our friendship. We were on a panel at Pantheon with Service Titan a year ago. That's crazy. It's crazy what can happen in a year because that was such a moment in time for sure. It was a good time.
And it stood still until it was over. But I feel like when I look back at that panel, it was such a whirlwind. Mm-hmm. It was like we had all talked about what we're going to do, and you guys were so calm, cool, and collected and confident, and you were telling me to chill out the whole time. And then immediately we get on that panel, and Crystal goes rogue with her questions, and none of what we talked about got talked about at all. I felt like I was just watching a tennis match.
Yeah, I think those are still good conversations when they just are more organic. But definitely for someone like Leslie who needs a little bit of a plan, I am so much better when I'm going with the flow, because if I have too many points to be talking about, I'll be focused okay, and now I need to talk about this, and it's just too robotic.
It was wild though. Y'all had no plan. It wasn't just we had a plan that deviated. It was, we're gonna pretend we have a plan, everyone's gonna talk about a plan, and then we're gonna get up there and we're just gonna do whatever the hell we want.
But in the end, we were everybody's favorite.
Yes.
Were we?
Yes.
I don't know. I left right away.
Yeah. Leslie was I'm out. So anyways, that was awesome. That was a good time for us for sure. And
it started a great year and great friendship. So that is what I'm thankful on that part. So, but anyway, I'm glad to be here with y'all today for sure. And I have been in the trades for about 10 years. And currently I am the Chief Operating Officer and co-owner of Anchor Heating and Air with my husband, David. And we're just, doing the best we can do here in Charleston. In fact, I feel like we do it the best of anybody in town. And we have great employees. We have an awesome team. We're growing like crazy and just making an impact on the industry as well. I feel like not only just with heating and air, but I'm passionate about women in the trades, about the trades in general. And so I think we're doing a great job here educating people about our services, about the value of our services and our company. And I think we're noticed, we're getting noticed. And so we're heading into our second summer. So it's going to be big. We've been planting a lot of seeds over the last 4 or 5 months. And every time it gets a little bit warm, we start to see what it's going to look like this summer. So we're really excited about that.
That's awesome. I think that, some things that you said in there that immediately made me think of how Leslie all the time says we're bringing sexy back to the trades and sexy back to plumbing. And I think just through your social media, your TikTok, and the things that you're always out there doing in your local community is exactly that, showing what the trades are and showing that the trades are not what so often they have been labeled. And I think you do incredible work with that in Charleston.
Well, you know what's so fun about Stephanie and David and their branding is they're always going to events and setting up their tables. They will be at like a wine festival and there will be a table for Anchor Heating and Air. Like the coolest local shindigs. Like they're there, they have their tent up, they're fully branded, consistent with their branding. And it's really a unique approach for you guys.
Well, I think, the biggest thing for me, marketing is honestly my first love. I'm good at operations and that's my background. But one day when I grow up, I'm going to just do marketing for Anchor Heating and Air. But the whole thing for us is, one, we have enough. And so our whole goal with this company is to make sure that our employees can have what they need, but also that we can give back to the community that we have lived in our whole lives. And so we love to be involved in many different events, but I hate to just write a check and say we're the sponsor. So I always say, can I be there? Can I go? Can we have a booth there? Because I think that it's all relational, and people in our industry, they can feel taken advantage of because it's very technical and it's very expensive and they don't know what they're getting. And so when they know who they're doing business with, I think that brings a level of trust. And so when we're out there and people see our faces, then, if they don't get what they think they should have gotten, they know who they can go to. And we appreciate that. And we realize that that's what comes with us being out at those events. And I think the other part too, as we are doing things and we love giving back, we are kind of coming together and figuring out where we should be putting our resources. And we do a great job of, supporting local events as far as donations and stuff like that. But I think we just had the conversation this weekend that we are so good at like giving a donation basket and giving away a service contract. But why aren't we just giving away heating and air conditioning? Like that's what people need. And so we've said it many times, but our goal currently is so that we can do well this year, so that the last week between Christmas and New Year's, we're just going to put in free air conditioners for people who need it. And so like, if we can do that, like our employees can do that, and we can enjoy the fruits of our labor for the year. And that's what we do. So donation baskets are great, but why don't we get a lot more focused on really giving away what our skills and talents are? And then our teammates are using their skills and talents too. So I think we are getting a lot more focused about what our purpose is and our why. And that's what feels really good about having this company.
I think, you said that you guys are going into your second summer. And so it's still a relatively new business for you guys. And something in our business, we did really a lot of those same things when we were new. Like we did no advertising at all until we didn't even have a website, I think, for like 3 years. And so I know, isn't that wild?
It is.
And so up until 2019, we did no marketing, but we showed up at those events. We handed out the cups. I always joke that I think that there's thousands of these cups all over our city. But those are the things that people remember, and those are the things that you have to think about when you are spending. And I am laughing at you hope to be marketing when you grow up. It's my love too. It's all of our loves, I think, to some degree. Leslie, she's like, maybe. But you have to be creative, but you have to set yourself apart. Just like, with your branding, having Dan brand you is being disruptive in your market. But it doesn't stop with just the brand. You have to start being your brand, wearing the colors that you're wearing right now, your pearls across the screen. Anyone in this industry who knows Stephanie knows she's going to have those pearls on. Like, I was shopping this weekend and almost bought a set of pearls just because I wanted to be like Stephanie. And then I thought, is someone going to think I'm stealing her trademark? Knowing that I would not wear them every day, but I felt inspired because I know what that means to her.
Right.
And I wanted to buy some.
Tell us about the pearls, though. There is a story behind the pearls, and it's part of your brand now. So when you were building it.
Yeah, I think the pearl thing has just been always something that I've done. I received a set of pearls at my dad's second wedding, but it was in 1985. And that was the gift that all of his daughters were given for the wedding. And I just started wearing them. Like, I just wore them every day. Like, I have pictures from 8th grade, from high school, and I just always wore my pearls. And I think part of too that it went into when I was in college and I was in a sorority, and there were standards for there, right? I mean, we had silly stuff back then, like, if you're smoking, you better be sitting down. And if you're wearing letters, then you better not look like you just rolled out of bed. Right? Because we represent our sorority. And that stuff really stuck with me. And, I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't care what people, think I look like, right? It just does to me. It doesn't mean it's wrong for you, but you're probably not going to see me without makeup on and my pearls on. Like, I'll be in the pool or I'll be in the river and I'll have my pearls on. But it has translated over time to be my trademark because it sets the standard. And so when we started Anchor, it really is, we have the Pearl Promise, and it's very simple. We show up when we say we're going to show up. We do what we say we're going to do, and we're going to exceed expectations every time. Like, that's it. And what more could you do? Contractor, right? So yes, when we began working on our brand, that was basically the only thing that I said is I want my pearls somewhere, but I don't know what that looks like. And when we got the choices, this was choice number 4. And I was like, that's it, we're done, because it just, the Anchor is not necessarily, disruptive in itself. There's a story behind why we're Anchor as well. But my pearls being there is really just saying that, when you call us, this is the promise that we are going to fulfill. And if we don't, let us know and we'll fix it.
Okay, so take us back to the beginning, and you don't have to get into too many of the dirty details, just how you got in. Because there's been quite a transition for you, but your story, like you said, your word is resilient. So give us the info on that.
That's it. Well, my first career, which is funny because all my team members come in my office and my degree is on my wall. I went to Clemson, and they're like, "You were an elementary school teacher?"
And then when you learn that you were an elementary school teacher, I'm like, it all makes sense.
It all makes sense. It does. But again, I say all the time, it has served me so well. Like, it honestly is the best foundation for running a heating and air company, right? I actually did a talk recently in Ohio, and that was the title. Everything I know about running a heating and air company, I learned by teaching kindergarten. But that's where I started, and I loved it. But I also wanted to be home with my babies for a minute, and that lasted for a minute. And then I owned my own business. I had a monogramming and embroidery business that I started out of my trunk and grew into a retail shop. And actually, I sold it in 2008 when it was the recession, and I made money. And so that was pretty cool. But at the time, I had lost a bunch of weight with a personal trainer. And I obviously was marketing my own business and had a great following. And he was like, "Why don't you come be a trainer and be the marketer for my fitness company?" And I was like, "Okay, sounds great."
Why not?
Right. I mean, why not? I can do whatever. And so anyway, I was a trainer for 2 years. And actually I was getting a little, like, it was fun, but it was hard because when you get to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning and then you're done at 10 and then you go back from 5 to 9, I'm like, oh, I'm not seeing my kids. Like, it was a lot of juggling. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed the coaching aspect of it. So it's like all the time, every career that I had was leading me to this, to be honest. And so actually two of my clients, but one was, he owned a heating and air company, and I trained he and his wife, and we were training. And I said, well, I think I'm going to go back and get my MBA. Like I need to do something else. And he said, well, what if I offered you a job? And I was like, what do you do? Like, he's like, oh, I own a heating and air company. I was like, what is that even? Like, I don't really think I'm interested. So we went out to lunch, and I was like, thank you. I enjoyed lunch, but I'm good. And he called again, or I think I must have trained him on Monday. And he was like, no, really, like, I want you to come work for me. So when we kind of got the whole, what is that going to look like? Now, when I look back, what an incredible opportunity, because it was 2012 and he had just bought 3 companies and put them together, and he had joined Nexstar. So he brought me in.
Joke's on you, Stephanie. Joke's on you.
Exactly. But he brought me in to implement Nexstar in his company. And that was really, honestly, the beginning. I mean, 10 or 11 years ago, everybody was really just getting into what the trade should look like and what we should be offering and how worth it we are. But we were going to have to convince everybody. So I was like, okay, marketing and business development is what he called it. But my real first job was to implement the service system with the service technicians. So I was teaching them customer service. And, here I bring back my education roots, because they walked in the first day. And of course, they're like, who's this chick? Right. And they walk in, and I had we were royal blue and orange. And so I put oranges in a plastic bag and put a tag on it that said, "Orange, you glad you worked for this company?" I'm sure they were like, we're done.
Orange. Word.
Hi, teacher.
Hi.
Right, exactly. But again, here I am establishing like that. That's what I'm here to do. And, of course, lots of pushback at the time, but it was also a time to then begin to implement operations within this company that needed to be put together. And marketing and operation, it became operations basically. So I was doing all of the Nexstar stuff, and I followed the 24-month implementation to a T. And so that just became, I was offered the job to be operations manager and grew that company. I was there for 7 years. I think we were 4 million when I started. We were 14 when I left. And so it was an awesome experience. I learned so much there about being consistent, about teaching people, and about really, I think where we miss a lot is we put people in seats that we don't support them properly. We don't teach them. We expect that they know. And so I learned a lot about maybe it's not the person, but maybe it's the seat that they're in.
That's so true. That's so hard. I mean, that's hard.
It is. It definitely is.
Well, because you may not know where they need to go. You may think you know because of history, and then they don't know. So everybody's guessing, and nobody wants to fail.
Everybody in a company has an opinion, because if the employee's not in the right seat, depending on which position the employee is in, the field supervisor may be like, this one's perfect because of technical, but then the service manager may have a completely different understanding because of the relationship building. And then the owner has a different opinion because that's his nephew, because that happens, right? That happens,
it's a family member. Yeah.
And then the general manager has and there's so many different pieces, but you have to be able to just, separate it out and then think like, is this person in the right seat. And sometimes they're not, but that doesn't mean that they aren't fit for your company still.
Right. Well, and I think it's all about those processes and procedures, right? Because sometimes we take for granted that you've been in the industry for 25 years, you should know. Well, I can tell you what you know your way. You don't know the way.
It's almost worse that way.
It is. But I think we discount some of those people because we're like, oh, they're hard to deal with. They don't want to do our way. But when sometimes maybe we haven't spent the time helping them understand what our way is and why. And I dealt with that a lot because a lot of those technicians did have lots of experience, and they needed the reinforcement of why we're doing it a new way. I mean, it was the first time that they'd been handed an iPad and they were like, I don't need this. I'm good with paper. Right. So once you get some of those people on board, then the waves, the tide begins to change, because then you're like, oh, well, if the 30-year guy is getting on board, we better figure this out.
I think that's a mistake in owners a lot, or in managers, is that they say you need to do it this way because I said so, but they don't want to actually share the transparency as to why. And then the transparency, if you just explain it to them, it makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, but like I was saying, on transparency, if you can explain the why and really like create the vision of what's to come, people are a lot more receptive. But if you just go in and say, do this now because I said so, they don't want to do that. They're not going to do that. And we wouldn't.
Right.
Well, and I think most companies, though, if you think about it, they were started by someone who ended up owning a business but didn't necessarily plan to, right? They were a technician, which that person had that entrepreneurial spirit. They thought they could do it. And they, all of a sudden, they're in demand, and now they're, they have people that are depending on them. And it's still about me. Like, I'm doing this as my company. We do it my way. And when you transition from that to a company where you're supporting employees and you want them to get your vision, it becomes so much more important to share that vision with them. And then it makes it easier. They're not as resistant. So it was definitely a great experience for me. Again, David actually worked at the same company at that time. We were kind of in, parallel positions, but we often look at each other and go, wow, we learned a lot there, right? I mean, even on the technical side, no regrets. It was a great place. When I left there, I had technicians reading books in a book club. Like, that's big, So, and my other thing that I loved about that is that I got to grow that management team from me to having 6 managers. And when I left there was a female service manager for HVAC and a female service manager in the plumbing department. And they had been women that came in as CSRs that I hired. And they're still doing incredibly well here in Charleston. So, I think that from even back in the day, being able to see the potential, and that technical is super important. But if we can't talk about what we're trying to educate our customer on, it doesn't matter what we know technically. So that's a huge thing too. So anyway, from there, I left there and had kind of a in-between transition time, but David and I ended up having the opportunity to start a company. We vetted for quite a while, went into business with an investor. We grew a fantastic company very quickly, took it from 0 to 4.5 million in the middle of COVID. We actually acquired 2 companies during that time. Again, we were the face of the company, and running it very well. Had a great time doing that, but we ended up going our separate ways with our investor, and all for the better, because now here we are. We, started our own company and really have replicated exactly what we did there, and actually did better in our first year than we did at that company in our first year. And we didn't acquire a company. We just organically have been able to be in the community, show who we are, do great work, and people have just found us. It doesn't mean I'm not on the phone on Facebook at 11 o'clock at night when somebody's hot in their house and they need help, or we're in several Facebook groups that we really care about the people that live there. We participate in their community events. And again, I think it's just been boots on the ground that people know who they're doing business with. I'm happy. My marketing, of course, is very important to me, but we're a brand new company and we're at about a 5% spend on marketing.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
we haven't had to go, to a normal 10% kind of aggressive marketing budget there. But, I think I look back a lot, we don't account for what I get paid at 11 o'clock at night when I'm on Facebook either. But anyway, I'd rather be growing the company that we are currently and bringing in the people that we are bringing in. And keep in mind, it's from making lots of mistakes and doing things, now this time around, we started with Dan Antonelli branding. We started with a great website. We drove white trucks for 9 months until we had that branding. Again, we have great suppliers. We knew what brand of equipment we wanted to start with. We're actually private labeling our own equipment this year, and we're super excited about that because it is about anchor. You're doing business with us, and it doesn't matter honestly what brand it is, because when it breaks down, you're calling Anchor. You're not calling Goodman or American Standard or Carrier or whatever. And so we're happy to put our name on our equipment because we're going to be the people that are going to take care of you. So yeah, it's been. All of that sounds really pretty and wrapped up in a bow, but a lot of really hard work, a lot of tears. And luckily, I've had a really awesome partner to go through all of it with.
That's good stuff, though. And, that's business ownership, too, because no one knows how hard it is until you actually are doing it. And you're the one, funneling those conversations at 11 o'clock at night, or you're the one that they're calling because they know it's your business. And it's a lot of work. It really is. But you have been super resilient through it all. And every storm always comes out on the other side. And anything that has been a trial for you, you've overcome with amazingness. So I think it's incredible. And you are definitely someone that, especially people like new into the industry, should aspire to be, because you have to have that resilience. I really think she hit the nail on the head on that.
I think you do. I think that there is, besides days are hard, right? But you have to keep coming back because it can get to you. And I've been so thankful, of course, over the last year to have the both of you to vent. And it's funny, I think, in our industry where we realize, I have lots of great friends in Charleston, but the people that understand what I'm going through every day live in Oklahoma, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just not the same. I mean, you're right. I always say that female friendships are so important to me. And I feel like I have two different worlds where my friends fit into these places, because it's as an owner, as a business owner. And I think our industry is tough. I mean, I don't think we talk about how hard it is to do this business from an owner perspective than just lumping us into being entrepreneurs. Specifically because the amount of personal liability and risk we have as companies dealing with multiple vans on the road, water and gas in the house, just from like an insurance perspective, which you guys know our history on that. But it can be really, really isolating. And I think something great about us, what I have really felt, and I'm going to ask you this here in a second, but because I was sitting here thinking, what do I want to ask her, but not surprise her too much, is, in our family, we always talk about your highs and lows of the day. But like, I was going to ask you about the highs and lows of the season you're in. But for me, definitely the high is my friendships. You know what I'm saying? So to circle back around for you, because this is a new season, but you're so experienced and you have so much wisdom. What is your high and low in this season?
I think seeing our people be really excited about what they're doing and new opportunities, and being able to bring people into our business and show them what we have imagined for them. David and I had a plan that we didn't even really know was a plan. But when we started putting all this together, we had already thought we're going to have this person for that and this person for that. And coming in and saying, we see this for you. We don't know if you see it for yourself, but we see it for you. So that's been a really cool thing. I think just, also seeing the growth and seeing the acceptance of our brand. And I love that part. The lows, of course, if it's not that we're not selling enough, it's that, there is an employee something going on, not that they're leaving or anything, but it's people, right? And we're always dealing with what they have going on in their lives or all of that. And so, that part has definitely been if it's not one thing, it's another. But what I know out of everything is that when we look back, God has been with us every step of the way. And even when we didn't know we were being prepared for this because like this anchor, we knew we could do it, but it was like we got 2 weeks to get this up and running, and we got it up and running, and now it's the success that it is. But God was already preparing us for all of this that we were going to do. We got to practice in other places. We got to make relationships in other places so that when we opened, we were like, I've already written the business plan. I got us the SBA loan, like all of those things. And I'm so thankful and grateful for all of that. And I think that's the deal. Like I wake up and go to bed thankful for everything every day, because when I have that thought in my head, it makes everything else so much easier, right? I don't have all these, I can't say like, I would like, what's low? I'm like, oh, that was hard, but that's not terrible. There are people that have, way more trials than I do. So if you keep that lens of gratitude every day, I think it makes it so much easier.
And you have to reframe your mind, because I am really guilty. And especially as you grow in the number of employees that you have, your company changes. And I know, Stephanie, you know that for sure, knowing where you are at now, but even previous, right? The relationships of the people inside your company change. Mm-hmm. And then your relationship changes, because now instead of you being the direct manager, you've got managers in between you, and then different things are happening. And I think that you have to reframe your day, because if we don't, we get super like the sky's falling all of the time, because mm-hmm. now when that happens, you might only hear about the problems, or you might only hear about these things. I was talking to our business coach a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, every time I turn around, it's like something else is happening with this or that. And he said, Cassie, every single day when you get in your car, and you need to remember that you're responsible for 45 people. And if you didn't have one issue with one of them, then you weren't managing or leading today. You weren't leading because then you weren't paying attention, because someone's always going through something. And if we look at that in our own lives, of knowing that there's a trial every day in someone's life, maybe it's not in ours, and maybe they're projecting that and we have to deal with it or whatever, but you are their safe place. We spend 2/3 of our life working. And so, I hate this. Nowadays, it's cool to say, if they say it's a family environment, I don't want to work there. I want to work and clock off. And that's the new thing to say. But like, guys, you really are spending 2/3 of your life mm-hmm. at work. You want to get along with those people. And if you don't, then don't be there. Then find a new spot, because those people, do they have to be like your brother and sister? No, but they should be people you want to be around, because you end up being a product of what you're around, and
maybe you have the opportunity to reframe what somebody's definition of family is, right? Because maybe this family is different or better or more functional than the one that you came from. And that's really what we want it to be. I'm like you, Cassie, I say all the time, like, you spend way more time at work than you do at home. So you need to like these people here. And I want you to like it. And if you don't, I want to help you find a place where you can, right? I mean, because it production wise, efficiency, like, my goal is to do way more with less people. So I have brought in people that I know can do the job of two. I just have, right? Because it's less management. And at the end of the day, the goal is to be more profitable. And if we're more profitable, those people are going to benefit way more. So if I have 20 people doing 5 million, or I have 10 people doing 5 million, like the benefits are way better, right? And a lot less headache, to be honest. So that's really where I think we've been able to reframe and use our experience to be able to find those people, and also to muddle through when we are looking for the right people, and to not make, mistakes in hiring. And if we have, we're going to change that really quick. Right? We're not going to hold on to those people who don't want to be here, because it's not good for us or them. And I think that comes with experience too. I think we're still in a situation, right, where we're in our second year. It's hard to predict what we're going to do in January, February, and March. And so, like, my financials for the first quarter suck. Like, they're not negative, but they suck. And that's not where I want to be. But then I also have to look back and say, what we did first quarter last year, it's nothing. We're 400% over where we were last year.
Well, and it's so easy to forget that, isn't it?
Right. And I've bought 2 more trucks. I've carried.
Mm-hmm.
You have a new shop.
Right. A new shop. I've carried 3 people that I didn't need in January, but I know that I'm going to need in April or May. And we've committed to them getting 40 hours every week. So I know it's all going to pay off. But I think if I was less experienced, I'd be freaking out. Or I wouldn't have hired those people in January, and now I'd be looking for those people. And let me tell you who moves in April or May. Nobody. Because if they are, then you probably don't want to be talking to them, right? So I think a lot of that part is where, I kind of have to step back and go, we know a lot, but we don't know everything, but we know a lot more than a lot of people in our position. And again, I'm super blessed that David can do his thing. He's amazing in the technical side. He's great at managing his people in the field. People respect him. He has a real desire to teach and bring girls and boys into the industry. I mean, our daughter is doing amazing. She's like, I don't want to go into service. I am going to stay in install for the next 2 years at least. She has already come in and asked for a raise, because she's seen, some other people that are here, and she's like, I deserve a raise. And I'm like, you're damn right, you do. And I love it. I told David, I said, it does not hurt my feelings at all. It doesn't make me feel like she thinks she's entitled. I am so proud that she thought enough of her skill and what she knows to be able to come in and say, I deserve this. I'm like, girl, look out, like, watch out, world.
Advocate for yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a huge thing for us, so all of those things come with experience, but in the grand scheme of things, like, man, we're lucky. Like, what a cool thing that we get to do every day. That doesn't mean it's always amazing, but it's a cool thing that we get to do and bless other people ultimately, whether it's through career or something that they need.
I think that's amazing. We could sit and talk to you forever because you have such a cool story and so much wisdom to share. But we probably need an episode 2.
We'll do an episode 2 and we'll go there.
We charge for our on-sites.
We'll waive it. We'll waive it for you, though,
We'll
Stephanie.
waive it for you.
We'll waive it.
Just kidding. That's a major inside joke. But well, it was so good to have you, Steph. We love you, and we're thankful to have women like you in our space to look up to and that are doing the thing and sharing what you're doing to everyone that you can. So,
well, thanks for having me on, and y'all are amazing. I'm so lucky to have you both as my friends. And I think every day we see evidence of the trailblazing path that the two of you are making in our industry, where we are certainly showing that there are lots of women in this industry who deserve recognition and who are doing great things. And so I am so glad to know you all and for y'all to be doing what you're doing. So thanks for having me.
We love you, Steph.
Love you guys.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review on Apple. And make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.